Hello and welcome to Tea Break Film Reviews. My name's Michelle and today I'm going to be looking at Fast and Furious 9, directed by Justin Lin. I was fully prepared for some ridiculous action and family-based dialogue, but what I got was an absolute mess. So hold your nos and hear me out. Before we start, please consider subscribing to help support this channel so we can keep making videos like this. This video will include spoilers, but frankly, the promotional material has already ruined most of the big ticket items. According to IMDb's one-line logline, what happens in this film is that Cypher enlists the help of Jacob, Dom's younger brother, to take revenge on Dom and his team. If it were that simple, this movie would likely have been pretty good, but unfortunately this is not what happens at all. Cypher is barely involved in this film and spends most of the time locked up in a glass box, wearing some very uncomfortable looking red leather trousers. The real villain is a spoiled rich kid called Otto who enlists the help of good spy turned bad Jacob, i.e. Dom's brother, to try and find this device that can basically hack the world. Why is Otto doing this? We aren't told, but probably because of daddy issues. Why is Jacob doing this? We also aren't told, but it probably pays quite well, and it provides a unique opportunity for Jacob to show off his muscles and apparent success to his big brother Dom. Possessing a device that can potentially make him control the whole world is also quite impressive compared to Dom's quaint farm. Now I am all for some sibling rivalry. In fact, the Toretto family backstory that we get in this film is rather entertaining, and for me it was one of and potentially the best part of the film. It gave Dom's character some much needed emotional depth, which we've really only been given previously with his references to family, though often it comes in dialogue that isn't actually from him. We of course have had one solid blood relative throughout the series, his sister Mia, but for the most part, his actual physical family is not as important as the one that he's actually built for himself, with Brian, Letty, Tej, and Roman, and a few other satellite family members that come and go throughout the franchise. As cheesy as bringing in a surprise sibling this late into the franchise is, it works as an idea. The execution is where it all goes south, because Jacob is given a secondary villain role, and this very much makes him of secondary importance. The crew are told that Mr. Nobody's plane has crashed, Cypher is missing, and a mysterious weapon has been unleashed, and this is what kickstarts the adventure. Jacob being involved is an afterthought, and Dom is the only one who knows his brother is involved for a good while, before Letty notices and forces him to tell the others. This setup is problematic. This is some high-stakes stuff. This weapon has the potential of destroying the world, and you're telling me out of everyone, the people who are most qualified to handle such a threat to civilization itself, are these guys? No. The reason that these guys are the ones picked should be because of Jacob. Otto is a totally pointless character. If Jacob had truly succeeded in life and gone down this good guy gone bad route, then surely the biggest baddest thing he can do is control the whole darn world. Then, when Dom has to overcome his past and reconnect with his brother, it becomes the ultimate victory in the name of family for our beloved crew. The superfluous characters don't end with Otto either. As I mentioned, Cypher is severely underutilized and is basically just there for a few good monologues. Queenie, Shaw's mother, also makes an appearance, but ultimately has little impact on the plot. She has a few good lines, but is pretty much just a taxi. Poor Han, the second character who died that one time but actually didn't die, is done a similar disservice. He is essentially there just to be a designated guardian for a new and more important character called Elle. And the creme de la creme of underutilized, totally thrown into the gutter characters is the Tokyo Drift trio. Sean, Twinkie, and Earl have gone from being Drift King, lovable small-time second-hand salesman, and talented car tuner to rocket scientists. I cannot put into words how forced and stupid this part of the film felt. I get it, they wanted to send a car to space, but why they had to facilitate this plot point by totally changing past characters, I just don't understand. Tokyo Drift is a Marmite addition to the Fast saga. People either think it's overrated or underrated. For me, it's one of my favorite films of the series, and it hurts to see these characters that I love so much demoted from fairly well-rounded, cool characters to tropey mad scientists. Whilst the film was busy bringing in all of these characters old and new, including a notably bizarre Cardi B cameo, it really lost itself, meandering from one place to another in an increasingly predictable pattern. And there was no ramifications for their actions, no sense that they were actually endangering their lives, made worse by the fact that the series keeps bringing people back from the dead. Of course they're going to do something stupid, and of course they are going to survive. In an admittedly epic sequence where Dom drives off a cliff by hooking onto the end of a bridge rope and somehow swinging the car across the valley, he doesn't say a word. We don't get any sense of fear or indication that this might not work. When they land on the other side, Letty is given the job of defusing the anticlimax with the line, "Well, that was new." It just feels at this point that the crew is this bunch of immortals that are desperately trying to find a way to die and constantly failing at it. The writing even brings attention to this invincibility through Roman, who has quite a strange character arc in this film. In the last two-thirds, he's classic Roman, providing comic relief through some cracking one-liners and some generally well-timed shenanigans paired up with his buddy Tej. However, in the first third of the film, some pretty bizarre things happen. As the team investigate the plane crash, they get chased by the military, and the family immediately abandon Roman by himself to battle 20 or so people with guns. Roman somehow survives this sequence, which if it weren't in a Fast and Furious film, would indicate that he is the main character in some sort of Rambo-style film of his own. He catches up with the crew and they decide to go through a minefield in which they have to go 80 to avoid the explosions. Roman specifically says that his monster tank cannot go over 70, and yet the crew ignore him and go directly through it. I felt so bad for him. After all of that horrible ordeal for poor Roman, he goes on to hypothesize about whether they have some godly, invincible powers. This scene fell totally flat. It was badly paced and badly written, and the actor looked uncomfortable delivering such nonsense. I mean, I know he is not the smartest member of the crew, but this? I'm just happy that ultimately we do get classic Roman for the rest of the film. I've talked very specifically in this video about issues I had with characters and plot in this film because that's truly what let it down. You already know that the stunts are wild and magnificent. It definitely delivers what it promises in the trailer and more, with those huge magnets that do impossible tricks, and yes, a haphazardly made rocket-powered car that uses NOS in space. It is a feast for the eyes, there is no denying that, but it is a mess for the brain. I saw one user on Reddit who went to see the film slightly inebriated and absolutely loved it, and that may be the best way to watch this film because it really goes downhill as soon as you start listening more intently to the exposition and explanations given, or lack thereof, for what the hell is happening. Is it the worst film in the franchise? Potentially. Think of it as akin to a child colouring in a picture in a colouring book, with no regard for the subject of said picture, the guidelines that are given, and the logical colours to use. Each film in the Fast saga has a wonderful level of absurdity to it, but Fast and Furious 9 is a hodgepodge of ideas that could have worked well if they had been developed more and cherry-picked, but instead they've been smashed together to create a story that has little consequence and little sense. Thank you for watching. To help us out, please like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe and hit the bell icon if you want to see more videos, and comment with your thoughts on the topic. what stunts do you think they'll do in the next film that can possibly top Space? For more film content, feel free to follow us on Twitter, Letterboxd, and Facebook. Links in the description. Otherwise, this has been Tea Break Film Reviews. My name's Michelle, and I hope you have a great day.